I usually don't eat the rind of a melon, but today I did. I was feeling a bit curious, guys. So I ate the rind of a melon. You know what that means? Give me a like if you know what the word rind means. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you right now. It means this. This part of a melon, could be a watermelon, could be any kind of melon, is called the rind. Now guys, the purpose of this video is to talk about why verb tenses can be pretty confusing, right? Have you learned anything about verb tenses in your English learning journey? Most people, if you've been learning English for a year or even a month, you probably have learned a little bit about verb tenses, right? Past, present, future, past perfect, past continuous, present, all those weird words. Well, one of the reasons why verb tenses are pretty confusing is because different verb tenses can be used in the same sentence. Did you know that? So very often when we're speaking or writing, in just a few seconds, we could use many verb tenses. A lot, right? I mean, look at this, right? I usually don't eat the rind of a melon. Okay, here we have the word eat. That's just a simple present verb, right? I eat. I go to the gym. I work every day. I read books. I don't know. We use this simple present tense for things that we do normally, routinely, right? I go to work every day. I eat breakfast every day, right? So this is a simple present verb, but look at this one. Okay. But today I did. Well, there's a simple past verb. And then here, I'm just adding a little extra detail. I said I was just feeling a bit curious. Okay. I was feeling. So was feeling is the past continuous verb tense. Okay. So look at this. In just a few seconds, how long did it take me to say this? 5 seconds maybe? In like 5 seconds, I used 3 verb tenses. Okay? So in English, we have 12 verb tenses. It would be possible to use all 12 tenses in a single sentence. We could make it. It would be a bit weird. It would be a long sentence. You could make one sentence with all 12 tenses. Now, I'm not going to do that in this video. That would be a pointless exercise. In normal English, we don't use all 12 in the same sentence. But we might use 2 or 3, maybe 4 in one sentence. And maybe just in a few seconds of speaking, we might use 2 or 3 sentences, right? We might have 5 or 6 different verb tenses. Wow. So there's a lot of different verb tenses in one little period of speaking or writing, right? And the mistake that English learners make is when you're learning about verb tenses, you might think that if you're talking about a certain period of time, you have to use one tense. Okay, so if we're talking about this time here, you got, which one was it? Past, continuous, or perfect, past perfect, but I just have to use that one. No. That's not reality, right? So don't make the mistake of thinking that you have to stay inside like one verb tense if you're talking about a certain period of time. Does that make sense? Sometimes English learners make this mistake. So I'll give you an example, okay? Let's say you're talking about the past, the simple past, okay? If I ask you, what did you do today? You could tell me, well, I woke up and then I took a shower. That's one event, right? I took a shower and then I ate breakfast and then I went to work. Okay? So here we have 3 just simple past events. Great. This is a fine sentence. So what's wrong with this? There's nothing wrong with this. It's easy. We're talking simple past, so we just use took, ate, went. Right? Easy. The problem, though, is that real life is more complicated than this. Real life is complex, okay? So I might say this. Look, I woke up, I took a shower, and then I ate breakfast. But while I was eating breakfast, I realized the milk had expired. Okay? So while I was eating breakfast, I realized the milk had expired. Hey, the milk tastes a bit sour. Yeah, milk. I'll go check the date on the milk. Oh yeah, it expired a few days ago. Yeah, that's why it tastes a bit weird. Okay? So what happened? What happened there? While I was telling you this story of what I did today, if you ask me, Mark, what did you do today? Well, I woke up. Woke, simple past. I took a shower. And while I was eating breakfast, so notice, I'm zooming in here. I'm zooming in. Just like on your phone, right? You have your phone. If you're looking on a map or something, and you want to zoom in. You want to get closer. So in real life, we don't just use a simple timeline like this. That's boring English. We zoom in to different events. You could say, while I was taking a shower, there suddenly I saw a spider in the corner of my shower. So I grabbed my shower hose head off the thing and I sprayed the spider and I sprayed it down the drain and it disappeared, right? Or while I was going to work, I got a flat tire and I was waiting on the side of the road. I wasn't really sure what I should do. But then there was a woman there who started asking me some questions and she seemed friendly. I think she was Hispanic. Anyway, she started telling me about her family. And so look at that. I zoomed in while I was going to work. What happened? And in that zoom, there could be different verb tenses, right? So in real life, we don't speak like this. We're always zooming in or out, and we're talking about different time periods or different events in the past or present or future. Some of those events might be not just events, but they might be continuous periods of time. Sometimes they might be in the perfect verb tense. Okay, so look at this, right? While I was eating, this is the past continuous tense. I realized, this is simple past, that I realized the milk had expired. So this is past perfect. Okay? Wow. So there are just 3 verb tenses in the same sentence. Right? So this is really this is common, guys. So real life is complex. So real verb tenses are also complex. Okay? So just remember that. Life isn't easy, guys. Life isn't as simple as I woke up, I took a shower, I ate breakfast, I went to work. It was great. No, there's more complexity to the English language. because there's more complexity to your life. Your life is complex, right? Now, I just want to mention, sometimes people use this word and sometimes people use this word to talk about a kind of verb tense called the continuous or the progressive. They mean the same thing. For example, the present continuous verb tense would be, I am eating. What are you doing right now? I am eating. That can be called the present continuous or the present progressive. These two words mean the same thing. So sometimes maybe if I just wanted to mention this, if you are studying English grammar, your English grammar book might use this word or it might use this word. I don't know. They mean the same thing, okay? Now look at this, guys. Have you eaten already? Have you eaten already? Which verb tense is this? Question. Have eaten. Okay, so this is the present perfect verb tense. This is a very common verb tense to use to ask questions. All right, have you ever been to Spain? Have you eaten yet? Has your dog been vaccinated? Right? Has your dog been vaccinated for rabies? Okay, so we use this for very often for asking questions. So you could answer with the present perfect. I have eaten. Yeah, I have eaten already. Yeah, I have. Okay. Or you could use the simple past. You could say, I ate already. So both of these mean the same thing. So very often in English, you have flexibility. You don't just need to use one verb tense all the time. Sometimes you have a choice. You can say the same thing in different ways. Okay? So just remember that. That's also one thing that makes it a bit confusing, is because you have some options. It's your choice to say this or this. Now, the reason this is a bit better, maybe, I have eaten already, is because, very often we use this verb tense, guys, the present perfect, to talk about actions at an unspecified time in the past, and when the exact time is not important. Okay? So in this situation, if you ask me, hey Mark, have you eaten already? Do you care if I ate at 5 or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock? No, you don't care about that. You just want to know yes or no. Right? Do I have food in my stomach? Have you eaten already? Right? And maybe if my answer is no, maybe you want to ask another question. Would you like to join me? I'm going out to a restaurant. Would you like to join me? Right? Maybe that's why you're asking, have you eaten already? Okay? So you have to use this verb tense. It would be less natural if you said, did you eat already? Okay, we don't say that. Did you eat already? You could say that. It's all right. But it's better if you use this verb tense. Have you eaten already? Okay? So look at this. Yeah, I've eaten already, but I'm still feeling a bit hungry. I was thinking of grabbing a samosa at the Indian joint next door. Okay, so this is my answer to your question. You asked me, have you eaten already? Or have you eaten yet? And I could say, yeah, I've eaten already, but I'm still feeling a bit hungry. I was thinking of grabbing a samosa. Grabbing means ordering. Okay, I was thinking of ordering a samosa at the Indian restaurant. The word joint means restaurant here, okay? I was thinking of grabbing a samosa at the Indian joint next door. Next door means beside you. Like imagine if you work in an office. Your office is here. And let's say there's an Indian restaurant right beside your office, or maybe a few shops down. You can use the word next door. It doesn't need to be literally next door. It could be a few shops away, next door, just over there. Okay? So let's look at the verb tenses here, okay? Look at this. Yeah, I have eaten. So this is the present perfect, right? I have eaten already, but I am feeling. Am feeling is the present continuous verb tense, right? I am feeling a bit hungry. I was thinking, this is past continuous. I was thinking of grabbing a samosa at the Indian joint next door. Okay, so here's another example, right? 3 verb tenses in basically one sentence, right? I mean, how long does it take me to say this? 5 seconds, right? 5 seconds, we got 2 sentences here. So I don't need to stay in one verb tense. I can jump, like this is just normal English, to jump around to different verb tenses in a short period of time. Does that make sense? That's why this is a bit confusing for a lot of people. So what's going on here? Okay, we're talking about an event at some point in the past. You don't care when I ate. You're asking me, have you eaten yet? We don't care about the time. It's an event, right? It's one event. Yes, I have eaten, but I am still I'm feeling hungry. So this is kind of a period here. This is a continuous thing. It started in the past and it's still continuing now. I am feeling a bit hungry. And so I was thinking, here's this period. It started in the past and it's continuing to the present actually. And why do we use the past continuous here? Why do we use this simple past, or this is not the simple past, the past continuous? Why do we use that? Because you might be thinking, okay, like just think about this situation, okay? I'm saying, like you ask me, have you eaten yet? I'm saying, yeah, I have eaten, but I'm still feeling a bit hungry, and I was thinking actually of going to the Indian joint next door and grabbing a samosa. So if I say I was thinking of that, that means I'm still thinking of it now, right? So this thinking started in the past and is continuing to this current time. So you might be, like if you have done any research into verb tenses, you might be thinking, hey Mark, no, this is the wrong one then. You should choose this tense, the present perfect, or the present perfect continuous. An action that started in the past, or something started in the past that's continuing to the present time. So you'd think, Mark, no, this is the right one. I have thought of grabbing a samosa at the Indian restaurant. Or I have been thinking of grabbing a samosa at the Indian restaurant. Well, yeah, you could say this. This is maybe it's correct, but the thing is it's not natural. It's not the natural verb tense to use in this situation. Okay? So the point I want to make is that sometimes English grammar doesn't help you choose the most natural verb tense. And this is also why verb tenses can be a bit confusing, right? Sometimes English grammar doesn't explain everything in English. But if you're learning English grammar, you're doing great. Keep it up. This is important. It's important to study English grammar. But sometimes natural English doesn't quite fit into grammar, you know. So, you know, if we take a look at this, it started in the past. You could, like, right, it should work here. I have been thinking of grabbing a samosa, right? I've been thinking of grabbing a samosa at the restaurant next door. The problem with this verb tense is we don't use it in this kind of thing with the samosa. we use it for bigger things. Okay, bigger things like I've been thinking of buying a new car, or I've been thinking of moving to, where do you want to move to? I've been thinking of moving to South Sudan, right? South Sudan is a country in Africa. So yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about a samosa, right? Samosa's just, I don't know. In English, we would say, I was thinking of grabbing a samosa. We would not say, I have been thinking about grabbing a samosa. Does that make sense? So I just want to point this out, just to make you aware of this, okay? Here's another example, okay, where we have several different verb tenses in basically one sentence, or one or two sentences here, right? So look at this. I'll probably just get a job after high school, but my uncle's been trying to convince me to go to college. I've never really seen the value in college. Okay? Do you get what this is? Do you understand this? So let's break it down. Let's look at the different verb tenses. I will get a job. Okay? I'll means I will. I'll get. So here we have the simple future, right? I will get. I will go to work. I will eat a hamburger later. Okay? We're talking about just simple future events. Simple future verb tense here, right? But look at this. But my uncle has been trying. Okay, here this S means has. My uncle has been trying. This is what? What verb tense is this? This is the present perfect continuous tense. Present perfect continuous. My uncle's been trying to convince me to go to college. I have seen. I have seen. That is the verb. And what verb tense is that? That is present perfect. Present perfect. Okay? So here, in this short little passage of speaking, I mean, it takes me, 5 seconds to say this. We have the simple future. We have present perfect continuous, and we have the present perfect. We have 3 verb tenses in just this little chunk, right? So, guys, the point I want to make in this video, this lesson is not to teach you verb tenses. It's just to make you aware that in real life, verb tenses are more like this. They're just all over the place. We got events, we got periods of time, we got periods of time that finished maybe, or periods of time that started and continue to this day, or future events, future periods. You know, so you're always, like, when you're learning about English verb tenses, it's a bit overwhelming because you're always trying to process this. So your brain is full of this. And in real English, this is how we speak. It's really complex. And that's why learning verb tenses it's confusing. But I want to tell you this. Don't get depressed about this. Don't get depressed, guys. Just relax. Be aware that this is happening. Okay, so don't make the mistake that you have to use one verb tense if you're talking about a certain period of time, you know, because you can always maybe zoom in or zoom out, or, you know, verb tenses are a little bit flexible sometimes, right? So just be aware that this is happening. Many verb tenses in one short little period of time. Study verb tenses. This is a good idea, guys. There are so many resources on the internet, so many different quizzes and exercises that you can do to practice your verb tenses. And the very first series that I made on my YouTube channel was about verb tenses. So I have a whole playlist about verb tenses on my channel. Also, pay attention to native speakers. Okay, because native speakers don't usually make mistakes in verb tenses. All right, so if a native English speaker uses a verb tense that you don't understand, it's something that you can, it's something that you need to learn about, probably, right? Like, for example, if I said, I was thinking of going to the restaurant and grabbing a samosa. If you're thinking, why is Mark using was thinking? No, Mark is wrong. He's wrong. He should be using the present perfect continuous verb tense here. Well, most of the time native English speakers don't make mistakes in verb tenses, guys. So if I say I was thinking of grabbing a samosa, that's right. That's the best verb tense to use. Okay, so yeah, but I do want to mention something. Some English speakers, like some native English speakers, do make mistakes with verb tenses, but there are two basic mistakes that they make. All right, some native English speakers never use these participles, like these words, these kind of weird forms, like the third form of the verb, right? These are called participles, like gone, been, eaten. Okay, some native English speakers never use these because when they were a kid, maybe their parents never used them, and so they grew up speaking incorrect English. So they would say something like this: I have went there. Okay, I have went there. Well, that's wrong, because have means this word needs to change to gone. I have gone there, or been, right? Like if I ask you, have you ever gone to Europe? Yeah, you could say, yeah, I've gone there. You can't say I have went there. No, that's wrong. Okay, so some native English speakers do make these mistakes, and you'll notice it, that they don't just make it one time. They always make this mistake. So if you hear a native English speaker making this mistake, they will make it every single time. They will never use these words. Okay, so it's easy to identify those people. You'll notice it when you hear them. Some other native English speakers only use participles. They'd say like, I gone there, or I seen that, I seen that movie, I gone there, I've been there. Okay, well that's also wrong, because it should be I went there, Okay, if you're going to use a participle, you need a helping verb. You need to be using the word have, right? If it's the like the perfect, the present perfect, it's I have been there, or he has been there. Okay? Does that make sense? If it's a past perfect, then it's not the word have, it's had. I had been there, or I had been going to university when I got divorced. Okay? I had been going to university, but then I got divorced. Right? So, yeah, I mean, verb tenses are very important for communicating well in English. The best way to avoid miscommunications is to learn about verb tenses. This is so important. So that's basically what I wanted to mention. Sometimes native English speakers do make mistakes in verb tenses, but it's very rare. I never make mistakes, guys. Not in verb tenses. Maybe other aspects of English I make mistakes. But no, with verb tenses, usually trust the native English speaker. Okay? Maybe it's something you haven't learned yet. So, if someone, for example, if it's something about a story in the past and the native English speaker is using present verbs to talk about past, you might be thinking, what's this guy talking about? He's wrong. You're wrong. You're using the present to talk about the past. No, that's a way we tell stories. Okay? So, so just don't think that the native English speaker is wrong. Most of the time, native English speakers are right. And it gives you a chance to learn from them, not to figure out all their mistakes. But I just want to mention, sometimes native English speakers do make mistakes. So just be aware of that, okay? So I just put some sentences together here just to show you another example, just a longer example of how different verb tenses can be used in a short period of time. Okay, I just made this up, guys. Back when I was in high school, me and my buddy stole an alligator from the zoo. The reason we were able to pull it off was because I had done some volunteering there the summer before and was familiar with the ins and outs of the operations there. My buddy was a bit hesitant. He's super scared of animals. But he finally agreed. It was a graduation prank, You got to do something wild before your grad, right? Long story short, we got caught and thrown in prison. My buddy is still serving a 10-year sentence. He'll be out next summer. Okay? So there are a lot of verb tenses here in this, in this passage. Now, we're not going to go through each verb and figure out why the verb tenses are the way they are, but you'll notice there are different ones. This is all a story about the past, right? I'm telling a story about the past. Okay? So, I'm using a lot of simple past verbs. Yeah. For example, stole. Me and my buddy, we stole an alligator from the zoo. Okay, so if there's a simple past, but notice this one. Look at this. Okay, my buddy was a bit hesitant. Okay, here's another simple past verb. Buddy was a bit hesitant. He's super scared of animals. Now notice this one is present. He is super scared of animals. Why am I using a simple present verb in my story about the past? Well, it's because I'm giving a detail here. I'm giving a detail that is still true today. Okay, my buddy, he's in jail, right? And he is still afraid of animals. Okay, so I'm kind of here, I'm zooming out of the story into current reality. All right, here I'm telling a story about the past. Now I'm zooming out and I'm giving I'm entering a different period of time. He is super scared of animals. But he finally agreed. So here now we're back in the past. He agreed. Okay, so with verb tenses, we're always zooming in or zooming out or suddenly jumping into a different time space. And that's why verb tenses are so hard, right? We have 12 English verb tenses. So maybe check out my verb tense playlist on YouTube. That was a long time ago. I made that series like, I don't know, eight years ago maybe now or something like that. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring your attention to this issue. And I want to ask you a homework question. Make a sentence with more than one verb tense. Okay? So just try to put together a sentence with maybe 2 or 3 verb tenses in the same sentence. There you have it, guys. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Hope that kind of simplifies verb tenses for you. But anyway, guys, as always, I hope you're doing great. I love you very much. Hope you're staying safe, healthy, and happy wherever you are. And as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.